going to talk more about the financial sector. On call is CNBC's chief commentator Bill Seidman, also joining us, Stuart Plesser, Standard & Poor's banking analyst. We have Doug Sandler, chief equity strategist at Riverfront Investment Group. Thanks to all of you for joining us. I want to pick up on this topic, and also something that Trish said about Bank of America. What does this tell us about the rest of the sector? You know, Ken Lewis apparently needs billions of dollars in order to absorb, the acquisition of Merrill Lynch. Jamie Dimon, it seems like when it comes to WAMU and Bear Stearns may not. What is the difference between these two banks right now? Is it due diligence? Is it something else? Because to taxpayers, it's starting to feel like a black hole when it comes to Bank of America. Stuart, why don't we start with you? What do you think?
Sure. Well, I think that in terms of J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon just negotiated a better deal. He got the money up front and got it backstopped, while Bank of America didn't. And I think they're going to look at that kind of capital government injection different than they will at J.P. Morgan. It seems like the second round of TARP is a different scenario than the first round.
Doug, what do you think?
Well, maybe I'll throw out there that there's no question about it. J.P. Morgan's proving to be the better-run bank. The question is, though, are we in a demolition derby here in the banking world where very few winners and everybody's damaged? I think that's what's
it seems like
happen.
it.
So in the end, J.P. Morgan has already been rewarded for being a better bank. It's underperformed by basically half what the other major banks are. It's underperformed. Actually, it's been twice as good as the cities in the other big banks in the world. Well, so it's been sort of bought and paid for. That's a better bank. I look at it and say I can find lots of companies with 10 to 15% earnings growth in this market that don't have any baggage. That's the beauty of a bear market, is you can find all sorts of great companies basically trading for the same price, some with baggage, some without. All day long, I'm happy to buy the ones without baggage and avoid the bank sector for now.
Bill Seidman, let's get in here. First of all, Citibank is in terrible shape, looking worse. I believe it's a ward of the state, and maybe you'll speak to that. But I'm particularly annoyed at this Bank of America story. Allegedly, they did their due diligence on the Merrill deal last fall. There was some arrangement with the Treasury then. Now they're coming back, hat in hand, on their knees, with all their pride gone, and they're going to say, what, we didn't do our due diligence? We didn't know what these assets were? Is that what they're really saying? And what does that mean? And why the heck should we give them more money now? Why?
They're even worse than it looks, because 5 years ago, Bank of America had double the insured deposits of any other bank. So they should be way ahead of everybody now.
Right.
And as we see, through bad deals and so forth, they have gotten themselves down to the point that back in the RTC days, we would have made them a bridge bank. In other words, we would have just taken them over.
Walk me through this bridge bank. This is a major concept. Bridge bank.
We developed that for just this kind of a situation. And we said, when a bank is broke and we've got to put more money into it, we will take over all the stock and we will fire the management. We'll put in new management, and it'll be assigned to do two things. Try to operate the bank in the best way possible and get it ready to break it up and put it back into the private sector.
Tailor-made for Citi. Tailor-made for Citi.
Exactly.
Is that what you're suggesting?
Is that
your implication?
What would be the impact if we did that right now?
Well, the nice thing about this
But are you advocating this? Let me get this right.
I am advocating
for Citibank. Right now, they should be a bridge bank. Put the government guy in there and get ready to break them up, sell them out, and get this out of the taxpayers' hands.
Well, you can reduce your losses, because once the government owns it, there won't be a run on it the way they have now, because the government, as an owner, has obviously enough capital. So it's a real reduction in the amount of cash you're going to have to put in them, and you can get things done. Now the government says, well, we'll loan you this, but you got to do this and you got to do that.
It's piecemeal.
And it doesn't get the job done. The nice thing,
because Citibank can't do it. Who's that? Who's talking?
Is that Stuart?
This is Doug.
Well, yeah,
Go ahead. Give me a Well, what do you think of Seidman's idea? Since Citibank isn't capable of running itself, it's time for this bridge bank concept. Let the government put a guy in there who can run it. Probably make him Bill Seidman, if you ask me. Let's just be done with it. Break them up. Sell them out. The whole thing's a joke. And let's not forget the Bank of America. I want somebody on this panel to answer this question. Did they lie when they did their diligence of Merrill Lynch last fall? Did they lie, or are they just stupid?
Well, here's maybe I'd say is, it sort of seems like Citi's already being run that way. My question is, as an investor, is a shareholder really even have a seat at the table in some of these discussions, or is it the government and is it the bondholders? From my perspective, these aren't shares I want to be owning here.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think my
Well, that's what the
interests are
bridge bank
represented.
does. It just takes the shareholders out.
We want to give you the final word. What do you think about this solution for Citi, and what would be the larger impact?
Well, I think that it's a dangerous thing when the government starts coming in and taking over the equity. They're trying to avoid that for what it may do to the other banks if they did that to Citi. And I assume they're going to try and see if this asset sale works without having them coming and having to take over the equity.
What evidence is there that Citibank could possibly do this on their own? I mean, back to Bill Seidman's point. What evidence is there that Citi can do it on their own? I would submit to you there is zero evidence, which is why the stock is, what, $3 to 0?
Well, there's none at this point, but it seems that management has finally gotten the hand from the government or the urging from the government to do this.
They didn't do it. The government told them to do this. You know that. Come on, buddy.
I think the government would rather have them do this on their own than the government coming in and taking over.
They are in foster care. I love that. Melissa's nailed it. They are in foster care. They are a total ward of the state. They need 24/7 babysitting, these guys. I love Bill Seidman. I want to come back to this bridge bank. I like this a lot, and I appreciate it. Gentlemen, Stu and Doug, thanks very much. We got to move on. Shares of